Good morning, fellow traders. It is Wednesday, July the 30th. Took the day off yesterday. I took a couple trades on some evals. That was it, but took the day off primarily. Did not trade the funded accounts, but here we are today. Yesterday looks like we had a pretty much a red day, sell-off move as far as the NASDAQ goes. We ripped to new highs right after the open. It looks like right shortly after the open. We opened here. And then ripped to new highs, new all-time highs, which is almost a daily occurrence that either in the overnight session or in the New York session, we make a new all-time high on the NASDAQ or the ES, one of the two, it seems like. But true to form, that happened yesterday, and then we had a pretty big sell-off. We gave that the entire move that we had in the Monday session, and then the overnight session. We gave that all back yesterday. Bounced cleanly right off the 23,420s. This area that we've had charted for quite a while bounced off of that, and now we're starting to push back higher. I did keep this gap area on my charts. Actually, this is incorrect. This is supposed to be right there. For some reason that got moved, but I kept this gap. The white lines are the gap that we had, I think, on the Sunday night open. I've kept it because we've had a lot of reactions at that area. Just so that I have a reference. I do have that on my 2-minute or 5-minute chart as well. So just kind of kept that. But what are we looking at today? Obviously, the big deal today, let's actually start with news. So we have a lot of news today. Today we have, let me just resize this so we can see it a little bit better. Today we have ADP non-farm employment at 8:15 this morning. We have advanced GDP at 8:30. We have price index, advanced GDP price index, which is the yellow folder event, also at 8:30. At 10 o'clock, we have pending home sales. Sometimes that does move the market, even though it's a yellow folder event. I mean, not huge, but a little bit of a noticeable immediate impact. And then this afternoon we have the big FOMC statement, the funds rate, the press conference that follows, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty heavy day today. Today's a big day. And the thing to remember is this news can absolutely change the technicals, or it takes precedence over the technicals. So when you have a big mover from a news perspective, it definitely can throw some of the other things that we're typically looking at out the window, at least in the immediate moment. So have to be careful about that. We need to let that news happen and then see where it reacts off of certain levels and then go from there. So, and again, sometimes this expected news doesn't do that much. So we do have to keep that in mind as well, that we'll just have to see what the market throws at us and trade it accordingly. But bigger picture, looking at really holds of this level. I really like this level. Again, I'm not dissatisfied with a pullback all the way down here to the 23,100 area. That would be a very nice pullback on a deep pullback. If you have a lot of big negative news, that could definitely push us back down, which really would be a refuel. That would still be a bullish move in my opinion, down to this level. So, if we get a rapid move down, obviously you could look for break and retest shorts on some of these key levels that we've had charted as they develop, as that price develops at those levels. We'll see. Obviously, the thing I'm looking for the most is if we do get a pullback, do we hold this level? That would be extremely bullish. Can we hold these lows from yesterday? Can we hold this? The high that we had here last week, and this is just a really key, very easy to read level here around the 23,410s. Really the 400s to the 420s. So does that hold, and do we continue to push higher? I did adjust this level a little bit because we had some reactions right here around the 23,580s in the overnight session. That would be on what is today? Wednesday. I'm confused a little bit. That would be Monday night. We did have some reactions there, which line up with this Sunday night action right here at these highs. So I did put a level there that may or may not change, and obviously we do have that all-time high. So not that excited about anything that's happening here. I don't know if I'll trade it. I may trade a break and retest of this gap, the high end of this gap. That could set up a little long, but again, it has to be really, I have got to see the same thing occurring, or the same strong move occurring on ES before I would take that trade. If we get something here, we'll take a look at it. But again, being cautious. I'm actually really cautious today. I'm not really excited about taking a lot of trades. Well, I'm as of late, I've really not taken many trades at all. It's really a 1 to 2 trade per day for me. So if I don't get one today, that's fine. I'm not going to push it. I'm going to try to find a good setup. If I get a good setup, we'll take it. And if not, we're going to sit and watch the action and then kind of refocus tomorrow. So, but the big picture on the NASDAQ is where do the pullbacks, where do we pull back to? And if we continue to just rip, then obviously we're moving into uncharted territory, and we just kind of go from there. So again, we'll see what happens here in about 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes. We've got the first wave hitting with the ADP non-farm employment change, which will probably do a little bit, and then 8:30 we got more, and then obviously this afternoon. So anyway, moving to the ES, let's look at ES on the 30-minute chart. ES a little bit more sideways. We've got not really a head and shoulders forming, but kind of. It would be a sloppy head and shoulders. Here's the left shoulder. Here'd be the head. Here'd be the right shoulder. Not sure. Maybe we're seeing that, and that could lead to some downside, possibly. This area, really, I did adjust these levels a little bit. I had a level right here at the 6406s, and that's really kind of in the middle of this sloppy range. And so I moved it to these lows. I think these lows coming in last week, and we're getting some reactions there. We had a little bit of reaction there yesterday. We kind of wicked through it, created a low of day, which lines up with these lows coming in from, I think, Wednesday night of last week. So this is kind of the hold area that we're looking at in the intraday or in the near future here. Really the 6400s to the 6392, 6400, and I think that lines up with kind of what we're seeing here on the NASDAQ. Now the thing to keep in mind though is we do have a bigger level. A pullback really down to here. I would actually really like to see a pullback to the 2373s. This is your last major high before this move, and so if we got a pullback to that level to refuel for a move higher would be really nice. How would that line up on the NASDAQ? I don't know for sure, but I would guess that could be all the way down here to this area right in here around the 23,300s. So keep an eye open for that. That could be a really nice pullback long if that occurs. Maybe we hold these levels in the today. We'll see if the pullbacks stay above this area and do we continue to push higher. Also left the gap fill high and low on my charts as well. That's this white line. We are seeing some reactions at this level, especially like yesterday's high of day lining up exactly with this area right here from Tuesday. So no, wait a minute, yesterday was Tuesday. From Monday, I get all confused when I take a day off. I apologize. So we'll see if we get a move higher. Really looking for reactions around the high of day from yesterday or this gap high, and what does that do? Do we go test the all-time highs? I really think we're probably looking for a pullback long. I really feel like that's the play today. If we just rip, I think we just watch. For me, I think I'm just watching. We're going to see what develops. I really want to see us refuel some kind of a pullback before we get long. Again, I'm not bearish on this market. I'm not looking for shorts, but I want to see a pullback before we get too aggressive at the outset here. So Dow Jones, I did spend some time this morning to clean this up on the 4-hour chart. I had a lot of lines in here and I had levels in here that I've kind of developed intraday, so to speak, and I just felt like I needed to clean it up, and I like it a lot better. The big reaction areas are right up here around the 45,100s, 125s. You've got the high of day yesterday, which lines up with some of these reactions we've seen back here in early mid-July. And then we have obviously this bigger level that we've been watching for quite some time around the 44,820s, if you will, 44,800s, 840s, and we're sitting right there. Price is sitting right there. Yesterday we kind of traded right in that area, so I think we're trying to figure out, are we going to go up or down from here? And the thing I'm looking at on the Dow Jones is we really need to get above this resistance level around the 44,900s, or we need to get down below yesterday's low of day, which would also be below the daily 20. So I think that's big. If we get a break below the daily 20, a retest of the 20, yesterday's low of day, that could set up a beautiful short all the way down here into the 44,500s. If that occurs, that is definitely something we want to look for. If we push higher, do we get a break and retest above this area around the 44,900s and push up into the high of day from yesterday and into this resistance area sitting around the 45,100s like we talked earlier? That's what I would be looking for on the Dow Jones today. This area really from the 44,900s to the 44,730s is really kind of a non-trade area for me right now. Even though this was an area of major interest, and it's still a major interest area right now, it's just not an area because of where price is at and how it's been reacting over the last day or so. I'm not interested in taking a trade until we get outside of this range. I think that's when the better setup is going to occur on the Dow Jones. Russell, kind of similar, really kind of messy. The Russell, if you look at it big picture here, it's kind of messy. And I think very similar to the Dow Jones, I would like to see us move down below the low of day from yesterday. I might look at a short below the daily 20. Daily 20 sitting close to price as well. If we get a break and retest below this 2254 area, which would be kind of a break and retest also of the daily 20, I would look for a short into the low of day potentially. If we lose the low of day and lose this 2244 range, that could set up a really nice short to the downside. Likewise to the upside, if we push higher, I want us to get above the 2266s. If we do that, then that could set up a long opportunity up into these high of day from yesterday and some of these other major levels coming in up here around the 2290s. So again, similarly to the Dow Jones, I think the non-trade area for me today really is the 2266s to the daily 20 down here around the 2254s. This range is an area of interest, but we're not going to trade it until we get outside of that area on the Russell. So kind of it's really, even though it's a little bit messy, and even though the Dow Jones as well has been just a little bit interesting, it is quite clear. I mean, this is pretty easy to read. We need to just stay out unless we break that area around the lows from yesterday or this high from the 44,900s. If we break that, then we have a trade. If we break it to the downside, then we have a trade. Same likewise on the Russell. If we break the 2266s, we have a trade. If we break the 2254s to the downside, we have a trade. And inside of that range, we simply sit and watch. So even though you have that, and I think that's something I'm just getting better at it, I believe. And I'm not, don't take that as I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything like that, but I am getting better at identifying those areas and staying out of this stuff and waiting for these trades to set up and develop. So again, ES, really looking for pullbacks. Again, while we're on the subject of non-trade area, this really is pretty much a non-trade. This could set up a nice little short, but and maybe that's something to take if that develops here at the open, or this morning where we have a break and retest. We've really kind of already are seeing a break and retest, but does this hold? And do we see? Whoops, I didn't mean to move that. This is the low of day that's supposed to be sitting here. Do we see something set up for a short trade? Maybe, but I think the smarter play is to wait until we get outside of the low of day from yesterday, this kind of area here. NASDAQ, what are we looking at as a non-trade area? Really, it's kind of this gap area. This gap area is kind of is really messy. I want to see us to break below or above. Again, pullbacks into here allows us to trade up into that as well. So that's the plan for today. Again, I think bigger picture is I'm going to be careful. I really want to be careful today with the data that we're going to get here this morning, the news this afternoon, what happens with the federal funds rate. Do we get a rate cut? Do we not get a rate cut? What happens, with all of that going on this afternoon? Could be a pretty wild day. Could be a pretty crazy day. So it'll be important to be careful and only take really nice, really strong, really good setups. That's at least what I'm going to be focused on. So have a good day out there. Be careful, trade well, keep yourself green, and have a good day. So we'll catch up with you on the next one. Thanks, take care, and so long.